There's a quiet retirement migration happening in America right now, and the moving trucks aren't stopping in Miami. They're not stopping in Naples. They're not even stopping in Tampa, which was supposed to be the affordable answer and isn't anymore. One Panhandle beach city has sand that literally squeaks under your feet, and a median home price that should be illegal given its location. A Central Florida town sitting between 1,000 lakes is running one of the tightest retirement ecosystems in the state at a fraction of what the coasts charge. One Gulf Coast city has more navigable waterways than any other city on the planet Earth and is still selling homes under $400,000. And the #1 destination on this list quietly dethroned every other Florida retirement city without a single billboard campaign. Hit like right now or don't, and just keep paying $2,400 a month for someone else's drywall. Subscribe if you want the honest retirement map of Florida. Let's count them down. Number 12, Inverness, Florida. We start at the most under-the-radar stop on this entire list. Inverness sits in Citrus County, tucked along the Nature Coast about 75 miles north of Tampa, and if you drove through it without paying attention, you might keep going. That is the whole secret. The people who stopped looked around, ran the numbers, and started calling the moving company. The median home price in Inverness runs right around $210,000. In a state where the average just keeps climbing, that number stops people cold. You can buy a 3-bedroom house with a Florida room and a yard here for less than a down payment on a Tampa condo. That is not a typo. That is what happens when a town does not get featured in a national travel magazine every other month. What Inverness does have is the Withlacoochee River, Fort Cooper State Park, and the Rails to Trails Greenway running right through downtown. This is a town built for people who would rather kayak than sit in traffic, which is a very specific and very large group of retirees who are done with interstate commutes and urban noise. The population skews older by design, and the medical infrastructure has quietly grown to match. Citrus Memorial Hospital covers the essentials, and the drive to larger systems in Ocala or Tampa is manageable for anyone who plans ahead. The honest caveat is that Inverness is genuinely small. The nightlife is a sunset on the river. The restaurant scene is local diners and a good pizza place. But if you need your mortgage payment to stop being a source of anxiety, Inverness has been sitting right there, patient and underpriced, waiting. Number 11, Sebring, Florida. Sebring does not get talked about enough, and that is a crime, because this town has been doing retirement right for decades while the rest of the country stayed distracted by the coasts. Sit with this number. The median home price in Sebring sits right around $200,000. That is among the lowest of any Florida city on this list. And what do you get for that number? A home in the middle of Florida's lake country. Highlands County is ringed with lakes, and the pace of life here is the kind that doctors would probably prescribe if insurance covered it. Fishing, boating, and a calendar with nothing urgent on it. Sebring's national claim to fame is the 12 Hours of Sebring, the oldest sports car race in the Western Hemisphere. Every March, race fans pour in, fill the hotels, and then leave, handing the place back to the people who actually live there for the other 11 months of the year. That rhythm suits retirees just fine. Highlands Regional Medical Center handles day-to-day needs, and the senior service infrastructure here is quietly solid. This is a community that has been accommodating retirees for a long time, and it shows in the pace and the general absence of anyone charging you a premium just for existing. The warning label on Sebring is job market depth, which matters if you are not fully retired or if you are bringing adult children along. But for the person whose plan is to stop commuting and start fishing, Sebring delivers at a fraction of what most of Florida charges for the same promise. Number 10, Lake City, Florida. A lot of people have driven through Lake City without realizing it. This city sits at the crossroads of I-75 and I-10, making it the gateway to Florida from the north and from the west. Most people keep their foot on the gas and head toward Orlando or Tampa. The retirees doing their homework are the ones who pulled off the exit and actually looked around. Lake City is the county seat of Columbia County, and it operates on North Florida rhythms. Pine trees instead of palm trees, barbecue joints, front porch conversations, and a slower daily pace. And a median home price sitting around $225,000 in a market that has barely flinched while the rest of the state went vertical. Florida Gateway College gives the town an educational and vocational anchor with healthcare programming the retirement population actively uses. And Lake City sits inside Springs country. Equatucknee Springs State Park is close enough to be a regular Thursday afternoon, not a vacation destination. You do not get that in Boca Raton at any price. The honest read on Lake City is that the cultural calendar is light, and the dining scene is functional rather than inspired. But the property taxes are low, the neighbors are friendly in the way small towns tend to produce, and the cost of living is one of the most manageable figures on this entire list. For retirees fleeing South Florida's cost structure, this does not feel like settling. It feels like the answer to a math problem they have been trying to solve for years. Number 9, Crystal River, Florida. If you built a retirement town from scratch for someone who loves clean water, natural beauty, and not having their blood pressure spike every time they check their bank balance, you would build Crystal River. The real version already exists in Citrus County, along the Gulf Coast of Central Florida. Crystal River is famous for one thing no other American city can claim. This is the only place in the continental United States where you can legally swim with wild manatees. Every winter, the warm springs of Kings Bay draw hundreds of these gentle, enormous animals into water so clear you can see 20 feet straight to the bottom. People fly from across the world for this experience. Retirees who live here do it on a Tuesday morning before lunch. The median home price sits around $240,000, and waterfront properties still exist at price points that would sound fictional anywhere south of Sarasota. Fishing, scalloping in season, kayaking, and paddleboarding are not weekend activities here. They are Thursday activities. And the Springs Coast is one of the most genuinely beautiful and unspoiled stretches of natural Florida, remaining in a state that has paved over a significant portion of its own identity. The caveat is health care. Local options are limited, and the drive to larger systems matters for anyone with serious ongoing medical needs. That trade-off is real, and it should be named. But for the healthy retiree who wants to spend the next chapter in the water, Crystal River is one of the most underrated addresses in the entire state. Number 8, Ocala, Florida. Now we step up to a city more people have heard of but still have not fully reckoned with. Ocala is called the horse capital of the world and earns every word of it. Marion County has more horses than any county in the United States. The rolling green pastures and white fences are not a theme park recreation. They are working farms, and they make this corner of Florida look nothing like the rest of the state. The median home price in Ocala runs around $265,000, a genuine value for a city of over 60,000 people with real infrastructure behind it. Advent Health Ocala provides a proper hospital system. Downtown has been quietly revitalizing for a decade, and the Cross Florida Greenway gives hikers and cyclists a permanent outdoor playground right inside the city limits. The geographic positioning here is one of the strongest arguments on the entire list. 45 minutes to Gainesville, 90 minutes to Orlando, 90 minutes to Gulf Coast beaches. You are not in a corner. You are centered in the middle of the state at a price that reflects absolutely none of it. Here is the honest part. The secret is getting out. In-migration has been strong for 3 consecutive years, and prices are responding. You are not looking at a closed door, but you are looking at a door with a clock on it. Ocala is still a genuine buy. The window just is not going to stay open indefinitely. Number 7, Leesburg, Florida. Leesburg sits in Lake County, which is named exactly what it should be named. There are over 1,000 lakes in this county. 1,000. Leesburg sits between 2 of the finest, Lake Harris and Lake Griffin, both part of the Harris chain of lakes, one of the premier bass fishing destinations in the country. The median home price in Leesburg runs around $260,000. In Central Florida in 2026, that figure needs a moment to land. You are inside a county that shares a border with the Orlando Metro. You can be at the edge of Disney property in under an hour, and you are living somewhere the lake is not a luxury amenity. It is your backyard. Leesburg has a fully established retirement identity. This is not a town discovering retirees. This is a town that has been organized around them for 30 years. The Recreation Station Community Center alone runs more programs than some cruise ships, pickleball, lap swimming, live music, travel clubs, and arts programming. The social infrastructure here is genuinely impressive, and it solves the thing that destroys retirement faster than anything else, which is sitting alone on a Wednesday with nowhere to be. Leesburg Regional Medical Center handles primary needs, and the proximity to Orlando Health and Advent Health systems keeps specialist access a manageable drive, not a flight. If you want Central Florida without the Central Florida price tag, Leesburg is one of the most honest values on this list. If this is opening your eyes, tap subscribe, because we do this every single day, and tomorrow's video might answer the question you have not thought to ask yet. Number 6. Punta Gorda, Florida. Here is where the list makes its Gulf Coast turn, and honestly, it was overdue. Punta Gorda sits in Charlotte County, just north of Fort Myers, and it is the kind of small city that makes people feel personally offended when they discover it, because it is the answer to a question they have been asking for years, and nobody told them sooner. About 20,000 people call the city proper home, though Charlotte County runs closer to 200,000. Waterfront dining on the Peace River, sailboats in the marina, a walkable downtown with genuine character, and a Saturday farmers market that has become the social institution for a retirement community that has been quietly building here for over a decade. The median home price runs around $320,000, higher than the early entries on this list, but needing its context. Cape Coral right next door has already climbed into the mid-$400,000 range. Fort Myers is close behind. Punta Gorda is still delivering Gulf Coast lifestyle at a price that has not caught up to its location yet. That gap will not last. The honest conversation has to include hurricanes. Charlotte County took a direct hit from Hurricane Charlie in 2004. And Hurricane Ian in 2022 caused significant regional damage. The community rebuilt both times to stricter codes, but Florida property insurance in this county is not cheap, and it belongs in your budget math before you fall in love with a waterfront property. The retirees who moved in after Ian did so with open eyes. That tells you something about how strong the pull of this place is when the full picture is on the table. Number 5. Port St. Lucie, Florida. Here is a city growing so fast that even Floridians 3 hours away have not caught up. Port St. Lucie sits on the Treasure Coast roughly halfway between Miami and Orlando, and it has been among the fastest growing cities in the state, and consistently one of the fastest in the entire country for the better part of a decade. The population crossed 250,000 in 2024. The median home price runs around $380,000, which for a coastal Florida city of this size still tells a compelling story compared to what Palm Beach County directly to the south charges for the same square footage. The retirement case is specific. Port St. Lucie has a serious golf culture with over 100 courses in the Treasure Coast region. More golf per square mile than almost anywhere in the country. This was not an accident. The city was built around recreation from the very beginning. The Tradition neighborhood in the western section deserves its own mention. Tradition is a master-planned community with its own town square, its own hospital and Cleveland Clinic Martin Health, and a walkable design built explicitly for people who are not in a hurry. A full-service Cleveland Clinic facility is not a small detail for retirees who need reliable specialist access. That name carries real medical weight. The caveat is that the growth is showing up in the price. Port St. Lucie is no longer the secret it was 5 years ago, but it still represents a meaningful step down from the Southeast Florida cost corridor while keeping the amenities of Miami and Palm Beach within driving distance. Number 4. Lakeland, Florida. Lakeland is about to be the city you tell people about, and here is exactly why. It sits in Polk County, directly between Tampa and Orlando, absorbing the economic energy of two major metros without paying either of their price tags. The median home price runs around $310,000, and for that number, you are 40 minutes from Tampa International and 45 minutes from Disney World. Inside the city, there is a genuine downtown on Lake Mirror, one of Lakeland's famous chain of lakes, lined with historic architecture and waterfront parks that would look at home in a city twice its size. The city has protected a resident flock of swans on that lake for over 100 years. It is the kind of detail that tells you what a town values and how long it has valued it. The healthcare story is strong enough to be a primary reason to choose Lakeland. Lakeland Regional Health is one of the highest volume medical centers in the entire state. You are 5 minutes from a serious, fully staffed hospital system. And for retirees, that is not a footnote in the decision. It is the decision. The local economy has real depth. Amazon, Publix headquarters, and a growing logistics sector anchor the job base, which matters for anyone who has not fully stepped away from work, or for retirees bringing adult children who need to land employment nearby. A strong local economy is not just about your commute. It is about whether your family can stay close to you. Lakeland is the total package for the Central Florida retiree who wants location without the location premium. The window is still open. It will not stay that way. Number 3. Melbourne, Florida. The Space Coast does not get nearly enough credit in the retirement conversation, and Melbourne is the biggest reason that needs to change. This is a city of over 90,000 people on the Atlantic side of Florida in Brevard County, sitting in the middle of one of the most economically interesting moments any Florida city has seen in a generation. Blue Origin, SpaceX, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, and NASA's Kennedy Space Center all operate within reasonable driving distance. The aerospace economy here is not a relic. It is growing, which means the hospitals are modern, the restaurants are not all tourist traps, and the professionals moving in build a real city rather than just a retirement village. The median home price in Melbourne runs around $350,000, which on the Atlantic coast in 2026 represents strong relative value. You get beach access through Melbourne Beach on the Barrier Island. You get the Indian River Lagoon, one of the most biodiverse estuaries in North America, running along the city's western edge. Health First operates multiple hospital campuses across Brevard County with expanding cardiac and orthopedic programs, which happen to be the two departments retirees use most. And then there is this. You can watch rockets launch from your backyard, not on a screen, from your actual backyard on a clear Tuesday evening. That is one of the most specific quality of life advantages any retirement city in this country can offer. And Melbourne has been sitting on it quietly while other cities spent money on advertising. Melbourne earns the number 3 spot for combining lifestyle, healthcare, relative affordability, and a live economic engine that keeps city services sharp in ways that purely retired communities cannot always sustain long term. If this list has surprised you even once, hit subscribe because tomorrow we are mapping another corner of American life that nobody told you about yet. Number 2, Pensacola, Florida. A lot of people do not instinctively think of Pensacola when they think of Florida. It sits in the far northwest corner of the Panhandle, closer to New Orleans than to Miami, and it runs on a completely different frequency than the rest of the state. Slower pace, genuine southern warmth, and prices anchored in a way the rest of the coastline abandoned years ago. Start with the beach. Pensacola Beach is white quartz sand so fine it squeaks when you walk on it. The sand comes from the Appalachian Mountains, carried down over millennia, and it does not exist anywhere else in the state. The Navy parks its Blue Angels demonstration team here for a reason. The views justify it every time. The median home price in Pensacola runs around $285,000. For a coastal city with this level of beach access and natural beauty, that number almost does not make sense until you understand the geography. Pensacola is not on the way to anything else. You drive here on purpose, and that remove from the tourist corridor has protected the price in a way no policy could have engineered. Naval Air Station Pensacola is one of the largest naval installations in the country. Military retirees get commissary access, Navy healthcare, and a veteran community that is one of the densest per capita of any city its size in America. And even without a service background, you benefit from the economic stability a major base provides through every downturn the rest of the country panics through. The honest caveat is hurricanes. The Panhandle is not immune, and Hurricane Sally in 2020 was a direct reminder. Property insurance in Escambia County is a real budget number, but a home at $285,000 with white sand beaches, no state income tax, and a military community behind it is a hard argument to walk away from. Pensacola is the most underrated coastal retirement city in Florida right now. It is not number one only because the city at the top of this list posted numbers so undeniable, the whole country is finally waking up to them. Number 1, Cape Coral, Florida. Here it is. The city that became the number 1 Florida retirement destination in 2026. Without an announcement, without a campaign, and without the national reputation that older Florida cities carry around like a badge of honor. Cape Coral sits on the southwest Gulf Coast, across the Caloosahatchee River from Fort Myers. And the first fact you need to know is the one that stops every conversation cold. Cape Coral has more miles of navigable waterways than any other city on the planet Earth, not more than any other Florida city. More than anywhere. 149 miles of saltwater canals and over 250 miles total, including the freshwater system. This city was engineered to be on the water, and roughly half the residential lots are canal front properties where the backyard ends at a dock and the dock holds a boat. The population just crossed 220,000 people. Between 2020 and 2025, Cape Coral added residents at a pace that put it among the fastest growing cities in the United States. The moving trucks here are not confused about the destination. Here is the number that drives the whole story. Despite being one of the fastest growing cities in the state, despite being a Gulf Coast waterfront city, and despite sitting directly next to Fort Myers, which runs significantly higher, the median home price in Cape Coral is around $370,000. In Miami, that budget gets you a 1-bedroom condo with neighbors you can hear through the walls. In Cape Coral, that same money gets you a 3-bedroom home with a lanai, a pool, and a canal in the backyard. The retirement value proposition here is almost unfair when you lay it out in one place. No state income tax, 149 miles of saltwater canals with direct Gulf access, 300 days of sunshine, one of the largest boat shows in the country, golf courses, fishing charters, waterfront restaurants, and a pickleball scene that has taken over the parks in the best possible way. Lee Health operates multiple hospital campuses and a growing specialty network across the county, and that healthcare footprint has expanded substantially to match the growth. The honest part, because that is the deal on this channel, Cape Coral took a catastrophic hit from Hurricane Ian in September 2022. The storm made landfall right here with winds and storm surge that damaged thousands of homes. Florida property insurance in Lee County is not cheap right now. Any retiree looking at Cape Coral has to budget for that reality with full honesty. Get the actual insurance quote before you fall in love with a property. Do that first, not last. What tells the real story is what happened after Ian. The city rebuilt faster than almost anyone expected, to stricter codes. And the people kept coming. Net migration to Cape Coral has been positive every single year since the storm. That is not a market that got scared. That is a market that ran the complete math and decided the answer was still yes. Cape Coral did not get here by being loud. It got here by delivering on what actually matters while the cities with the bigger names got busy being expensive. 12 cities. One honest look at where retirees are actually going in Florida in 2026 and why. From Inverness along the Nature Coast to Cape Coral on the Gulf, the pattern is the same everywhere. People are not going where the postcards told them to go. They are going where the budget makes sense, where the community is already there, and where the quality of life does not require a second mortgage to access. But before you start calling real estate agents, here is the honest final chapter, because that is what this channel owes you every single time. Florida property insurance is a genuine crisis. Premiums have doubled, and in some areas tripled, over the last 4 years. Several major insurers have left the state entirely. This is not a footnote. It is a budget line that can erase the cost of living advantage you moved here for if you do not price it in before you sign. Get real quotes for any specific property before you fall in love with it. Do that first, not last. Climate is a real variable in a way it was not 20 years ago. Hurricane seasons have intensified. Pensacola, Cape Coral, and Punta Gorda all require you to do that math with open eyes. And the window on some of these markets is measured in years, not decades. Ocala has a clock on it. Port St. Lucie already closed its cheapest chapter. Cape Coral will not stay at current prices forever. But zoom out, and the shape of the story is unmistakable. People spent decades being told the only real Florida retirement was the expensive one. They finally stopped believing it. They found Crystal River and Leesburg and Sebring. They found Ocala and Melbourne and Pensacola. And the smartest ones found Cape Coral before the rest of the country finishes reading this list. The sun is real. The water is real. The no income tax is very, very real. Florida retirement in 2026 is not a myth. It just requires a sharper pencil than the brochure suggested. If this gave you one city to actually look up today, hit like so someone else in your position gets to see it too. Subscribe because tomorrow we map another corner of American life they have not been telling you about. And we will see you in the next one.